Hey everybody, I'm Eli Mollahan. I am the Graduate Assistant of Competitive Sports here at MTSU. I just wanted to show my face here real quick before this video got started. That way you can see who's talking to you, who's narrating this video. But yeah, this is our virtual club sports officer training for this year. Glad you could be here. Sorry you missed our in-person one. The point of this video is just to kind of get you guys caught up to speed so you'll be able to operate as a club sport for the rest of this year. So yeah, hopefully by the end of this you have some information, and if you have any questions, let us know at the end. I'm going to turn off this camera here so you can focus more on the presentation. There we go. All right, so let's jump right in. I'm going to introduce myself and my boss here real quick to you guys, just so you know who we are. So like I said, I'm there, Eli Mollahan, the Graduate Assistant of Competitive Sports. Above me is my boss, Dan Payne. If you've heard from him, you probably have from emails or for phone calls. We're the two that kind of run the competitive sports program here. Dan is the pro staff, and I'm the graduate assistant. So we run both the intramural sports program, the club sports programs, and then we help to plan the summer camps here as well at MTSU. So you kind of do a lot of roles, so we have to split up the work every now and then. So sometimes Dan will do a little bit more club, I might do a little bit more intramural, or we'll vice versa. It just depends on what kind of week we're in. So you'll hear from both of us. And then we also have competitive sports student staff, so we have supervisors. And if you have practices at our facilities or if you have games on campus, you might see some of them there. They wear bright blue polos, and they'll introduce themselves if they interact with you. Here's our contact info. I'll keep this up here for a minute, but if you need it, you can just pause the video and write it down. Perks of being virtual, I guess. So Dan's email is right there. He's faculty staff, so he has an obvious MTSU one. I use our club sports Gmail, so if you need to contact either of us, we check both of these daily. Either one is a good number or email to get in touch with us. Just let us know. We use both, and we will probably tag both in anything we send you. All right, let's jump right into it. Club sports. If you don't know, club sports are organized student sports, I guess, student-run sports. They're student organizations that compete against other schools or they just, stay on campus and play a sport for fun. It's up to you guys. That's the beauty of club sports, is it's a challenge by choice. You can be as athletic and competitive as you want to be, or you can be as casual and laid back as you want to be. All up to you guys. We are just here to provide you the tools to run the program how you want. So some great opportunities with club sports is you get to do what you love. So you find people who maybe want to. Good example here is our water ski club, because we just met with them over Zoom the other day. They didn't know each other. They said there was a couple people that want to do water skiing at MTSU. They did their own marketing, found a couple people. They've got a good group of people now that want to do water skiing, and now they're friends. Some are roommates, some aren't, but they're going to be friends for the next few years now. And that's what's cool about club sports, is you can find friends for life just because you're finding someone who wants to share this sport or passion with you. The other great thing about club sports is, like I said, it's completely student run. So you get to gain some great professional development skills and leadership skills as well. Our job is to provide you those tools and be a resource so you can do all of these things that you want to do. You see our mission statement there, and just know we're here for you. So we're going to tell you, of course, how to do certain things and give you these websites and these documents and tell you this is how it needs to be filled out and all that good stuff. But at the end of the day, it's your club. You're the ones within the lines or wherever your sport is played. You're the one running the program, and once more, we are just there to guide you. All right, so you're here because you're trying to register your club sport and become a full functioning club sport. So let's talk about how you do that. First step, you need to register as a student organization for MTSU. Every student organization on campus does the same method, so I'm going to show you how to do that. You'd click this link. I'm just going to scroll to it right here. But the link right here is mtsu.campuslabs.com/engage. That will take you to this page. I'm already logged in, but this is where you would log in, is right up there. And then this is like the home page right here. You can see I'm already on the MTSU Men's Rugby Club. Just ignore that. But if you're in any clubs on campus or organizations, that's where they'll go right there. But for this sake, you're focused on creating a new organization. So you click here on the Organizations tab, and then you go, and like I said, every student org on campus is in this list. So you can scroll through there if you want. There's like 300, so knock yourselves out. But we are focused on registering a new organization. click there. And every year you have to re-register your student org, so don't forget to do this. It's a very big step remaining as a club sport. And to do that, you just search here, you find your club, you click re-register, and you go from there. But for this sake, again, we're creating a new one. This part's pretty self-explanatory. You click there, and it takes you to this page. And as you see here, this says step 1 of 10. So I will recommend before you get to this stage, have your resources all gathered, figure out who your officers are going to be, figure out their contact info, have your constitution ready. Like, you're going to need everything because this is where it goes. So don't just think, oh, I have some time in between class, I'm just going to do this in like 30 minutes. It's going to take a little bit. This tells you some of the things you need right here. It says 15 minutes or less, but I do think it takes longer than that because you have to have all this stuff gathered ahead of time. Yes, once you have it, it probably takes 15 minutes, but just know it'll take you a little bit. Big things here, profile photo, you can just search one on the website or make one for fun. Constitution, again, big one there. Have a faculty advisor by this point. They're going to need to sign off on this website once it's created, or this student org account. And then also outside consultants. I think that's us, but I'm not sure because I've never actually filled out any of these. But like I said, make sure you have this information for at least 5 active members. So that's why this whole time we've been telling you, usually it's 2 of you that are wanting to start a club, and we say, okay, fine, you're 3 other people. So to keep it simple, I'm just gonna say you need 5 people to create your club. Those 5 don't have to be officers. You only need 3 officers technically, but you need 5 active members at all times to be a student organization. So the 5 people you find, make sure they're not graduating this semester. They're going to at least be here for a year, and they're going to be committed during that year. Because if you drop below 5, technically you're not a student organization anymore. So that's it for this page. Like I said, 10 steps. So get your stuff ahead of time and then fill that out. All right, after you do that, you need at least 2 safety officers to attend officer training. That is also going to be online, so that's the perks of this, is your 2 safety officers are probably going to go straight from this video to the next one. I think it's on the same YouTube page, so it's probably your next video on our suggestions right there. But officers, we'll talk about their role here in a bit, but just know that you need at least 2, and they have to be present at all of your practices or events. Keep that in mind. Again, talk about officers more in a bit, but just know that about safety officers. Oh, sorry, this is about officer training. So 2 of you should be watching this video, then 2 will watch the safety officer video after that. A lot of officers right there in front of me, so sorry about mixing that up. And then the safety officer is going to have to be CPR first aid certified, and you'll email those to us, that competitive sports office. That's my Gmail. If you need it, you can go back in the video and find that. Come back to this point. And then submit your fall 2021 budget. It's due Tuesday, September 7th. I'm recording this after September 7th, so don't worry about that deadline. Just know that that is like your next step once you get like all your people in your club and your officers ready to go. I think I talk about the budget here in a little bit, so we'll leave it at that. Next thing you have to do is upload your roster to Rec Portal with all your waivers signed. That will be later in this video as well. And then submit your practice request and game schedule. So these are the things we're going to go over in this video, is these steps right here. I know, sorry, we're just getting started here, but I promise you this is all useful information. And once you know how to do it, it gets pretty simple from there on out. A lot of these are just one-time steps too, so don't worry about it being time-consuming all the time. All right, told you I'd talk about being an officer. What does it take? Biggest thing, check your emails. Dan or myself will send you an email probably almost every day, every other day. I know that seems like a lot, but at least one of your officers needs to just be able to check your email often enough to see if Dan or me sends you an email. We understand there's a lot going on, and the university loves to send you a ton of emails, so we only send them when we have to. If it's urgent, we'll call you, but we're sending you an email because it's information you need to get. So like those of you who are taking this officer training right now, you're doing it because we sent you this link or this information in an email. If you're not getting your stuff done, you're going to get more emails from us. So Do your things ahead of time, be in constant communication with us, and all will go smoothly. All right. Also, be in communication with your team. So as an officer, you are in charge of your club. If you're the president and vice president, definitely applies to you there. Other officers have different roles. We can talk about that later. It's kind of towards the end. But just know that you're following the club and campus rec policies. Lastly, organization. Do whatever you need to be organized. That way we're not missing Zoom calls or, accidentally forgetting what days we scheduled practice, whatever it is. And last thing is care. Care about your organization. Care about how you represent MTSU and the campus rec program. And then also how you represent yourselves as a team, Yeah, that's pretty much it. If you've gotten to this point, you're probably doing a pretty good job at being an officer. All right. Club sport expectations. So you're going to have to follow our rules. There's a pretty decent amount, but once again, these exist so that you can operate fully and, function as well as you need to within a safe and, I don't know what I'm trying to say here. Just, read through our rule books here, follow the rules, and we won't have any problems. All right. Each club is required to have a president, a vice president, and 2 safety officers. The safety officers can be other officer positions. So like the president and vice president could double dip and also become your safety officers. That's totally up to you guys. You just have to have 2 safety officers at every practice or event. That's huge. All right, your advisor. Let's talk about this real quick. Your faculty advisor is a full-time faculty or staff member within MTSU. It can be, it could be an advisor, it can be a professor, it could be a staff at MTSU Campus Rec, just not Dan or myself. It's got to be somebody who's, paid by salary or, has a contract with MTSU. They're here to stay. They're not just, a part-time worker. That's your big thing. And what this person's role is really just like advise the club. They are there to be a guiding factor. They'll sign off on some of your budgets and financial reports, and then also your student org when you register as an organization on the website. But for the most part, you get to decide how much of a role you want them to play. Some clubs use that person as kind of like a coach, kind of like somebody who used to play that sport in the past, or it's just somebody that is a good person that you have a good relationship with, so you want them to be your advisor. Again, that relationship is up to you guys. We'll lay the groundwork for what the expectations are for both, though. And then lastly, I kind of touched on this on the last one, is the big thing when you're a sport club is you get to wear the MTSU logo. You get to represent yourself as the MTSU so-and-so club team. Maybe it's volleyball, MTSU club volleyball team. You're going to travel. You're going to have that on your shirts, whatever it may be. So make sure you're representing us well. And yeah, I'll just leave it at that. All right, who is eligible for club sports? In order to be a member of a club sport, you have to be an MTSU student. So unfortunately, we don't allow outside community members outside of the MTSU community to be club sports athletes. Have to be a student. And in order to be a student, you have to have 3 hours if you're grad student or 6 hours if you're undergrad. If you're an online only student, and that means like you never come to campus physically, like that's separate from a COVID like online student, you'd have to pay an $80 activity fee. If you're no classes, you're not eligible. Alumni, faculty, and staff are also not eligible. So keep this in mind. One more thing, play intramural sports. So like I said before, Dan and I also run the intramural sport program. That's under the umbrella of competitive sports. So this is the thing we do throughout the school year. If you're unfamiliar, it's just a way for students to play against other students at MTSU in these specific sports. I will say if you are planning to play an intramural sport, just know there are limitations for club athletes. You're only allowed to have 2 club athletes per related sport per team. What does that mean? That means we have a men's and a women's soccer team. If any of those club athletes want to play in our outdoor 7v7 soccer league, they can only have 2 at most on a roster. So doesn't matter how many decide to play, doesn't matter how many are in the game, only 2 per roster. All right, that's a big one. If you're confused about what a related sport is, just ask us. It's pretty self-explanatory. But on the flip side, if our soccer team wants to play in outdoor volleyball or flag football, that's totally fine. They can put as many athletes as they want on those teams. It's just the related sports where there's a restriction. The other thing is with outdoor volleyball, since it's 2v2, you're only allowed to have one club volleyball player per team. So just know that. And all of these rules and policies are in our handbook. So if you're wanting to know more about those, you can check those out. Both the intramural and club sports handbooks. Both. Insurance, this is a big one. We do not provide insurance. All right. Every member of your team, and a requirement to be a student at MTSU, must have medical or car insurance. This is because, you're playing a sport. It's a risk inherent activity. So make sure that everybody has insurance. I'll just leave that at that. Off-campus bank accounts. This is one of your first big steps in order to becoming an organization. You need to have a bank account. And I'll again use the example of the water ski club. So let's say our water ski club gets their members, they're kind of trending in the direction of becoming a club sport, and we tell them, you need to get a bank account. They say, well, how do I do that? We definitely recommend using Ascend Federal Credit Union just off campus. I think it's down by South Rutherford Boulevard. The reason I say that is because most of our clubs use them, so they know what to do. So you just show up and say, hey, I'd like to start a bank account for a sport club or for my club sport, and I'm going to be the main name on the account. This is me as the president of that club. They're going to say, okay, and they know what to do, so they'll get that started. What you need to do is, again, tell them that, and then you pick 2 officers at least to be the main account holders. So it's in the name of the club sport. So it's going to say, the bank account's going to say MTSU Water Ski Club, but the president and vice president will be the ones that can take funds out or deposit money. And we don't monitor those bank accounts. Those are yours. The only reason we require these is because that is the only way you're going to get money from us. All right? Just note, if it's being used, if money in that account is being used irresponsibly, or if you're funneling it for yourself, there's going to be big repercussions. That's why there's a little bit more strict guidelines on these bank accounts that the faculty advisor has to sign off on some of these purchases. But just know that bank accounts are for reimbursements, so you'll buy something out of money with that bank account, and then the only way we can reimburse it is if that money came out of that bank account. All right? So if you need more information about reimbursements, reach out to us. I think there's more in this presentation, but just know that you need to get started on creating a bank account because it does take a while for them to, from the day you walk into the bank until you're operating with a bank account, it takes a few weeks. So get started on that as soon as you can. And then every time you transition officers, you're going to need to go in and say, okay, I'm leaving and this person is the new president, so they need to be the new name on the account. Pretty good there. I think that's it for this. All right, budgets. So talked a little bit about money there. Let's keep talking about money. Budgets are how you ask for money from us. And so what these are is you create this budget using the template that I'll show you here in a bit, and you basically just go through it and fill it out. You put all the things in there that you think your club will need for this semester. It's an estimation, so we understand if it's a little bit over, but it's better to be over than under. We will ask you to know, if you're putting your hotels and travel fees in there, that you actually look up a price. You don't just guess. That way this budget can be as close to accurate as possible. Same thing if you're buying new products, do the same thing. But yeah, let me just pull this up real quick. So you'll go and you'll fill out this budget, you send it to us, and then Dan and I will look over it, and we'll send it back to you if there's anything that needs revised, and then we'll go from there. What you put in this budget, again, is the money you guys are making, and then also the money you are requesting to buy new things. So let's talk about how to get to that page. So this is our main website, mtsu.edu/camprec. You scroll down here, and you go to club sports. Sports clubs is actually what it says. And this is the page you're going to go if you need any documents, any forms, or if you need contact info. So if we have a student that says they're interested in club sports, we tell them to go to this website, and we say find the president for the club you want to join. So let's say if I want to join the soccer club, I know that Coda's email is right here, so I can just click that and it will open up an email to him. So once your club is registered and functioning, we'll put your info here for the same reason. And so if you get emails from random people, just know that's probably why, is because they went to this website and looked you up. It's one of the perks of having a campus website. All right, so we are going through budgets here. So I believe it's in here in general. Yep, and then budget sheet right here. So if you click on this, it'll download the budget for you. It's an Excel sheet, and you'll just go through each page and fill out a little bit of information. And yeah, ask us questions while you're filling it out. Be as descriptive as you can on those forms, because each club fills them out a little bit differently. And so the more description and the more information you can give us ahead of time, the easier it is to understand those things. All right, how do you actually get reimbursed? So you don't get money from us just because you asked for it. You get money from us because you purchased something, you have it in your possession, now you need the money for it. So just know that ahead of time, that it's a good idea to start fundraising as soon as you can with your club bank account, because you can use those funds for these purchases. We definitely recommend that. But then you have to have money in that account to buy the thing. So let's just, for example, let's say you want to buy a soccer goal or a lacrosse goal and it costs $200. All right. You know that you have $200 in your bank account. You make that purchase. You have it shipped to us at the rec center. So Dan's address is there. That's the big thing. They cannot go to your house. They can't go anywhere except for the recreation center. Make sure you know that. This is because we have to see the product and approve it, so we know that we're paying you for the product that you told us you were buying. Once we get that, so in this case, once we get that soccer goal, we'll send you an email or a phone call, say, hey, your soccer goal or your lacrosse goal came in. You can come pick it up, and we will start that reimbursement process. From there, we'll send you the money, and this is how you do that reimbursement process. It's on that same web page as before. You just go down here, receipt reimbursement form, and you'll go through those steps as well. I would just recommend you kind of look through all of these forms at some point, so that way you know what to expect on them. The big thing with the receipt reimbursement form is it needs to be a receipt that you're showing us and not an invoice. If you don't know the difference, an invoice is just like a page that's printed out from a website that says, hey, this is what you owe us. You probably paid it, but this is it. That just says the price. It doesn't prove that you purchased it. And that's why we can't accept those. It needs to be a receipt, an itemized receipt. So anytime you go to a grocery store or anything like that, it can be virtual, but it needs to show this bank account, with all the stars on it, purchased this, and then all that good stuff. It needs to show that money was withdrawn. It's not going to be as easy if you don't have that. So make sure if you're buying anything from anywhere, you get a receipt. And then the other thing with reimbursements is it has to be purchased in the same semester that you want to get reimbursed. So that is mainly important over the summer, because the summer semester is weird and slow. So I'd recommend not buying things over summer, but buying things early in the semester. Because let's say you order something in November and you want to get reimbursed for it, and then it doesn't get shipped to us until we're on winter break and no one's at campus, and we can't approve it until January. You're not going to get funds for that. Make sure you order it with enough time that the second you hit purchase, we are going to be able to fully approve that product before the semester ends. Okay, make sure you know that. Moving on, what can allocation money be used for? So this is what I was saying, that only certain things can be purchased from us. Basically, to sum it up, you can only buy things for your club that are going to remain with that club. That's the only thing we can reimburse. So if you want to buy, team water bottles, that's great. We'll reimburse you for it, but they're not individual water bottles that people are going to get to keep. All right, they're going to stay with the club. A good example, because people don't like to share water bottles. But let's go through some of these. Governing organization dues and fees. So if you're in any type of league, or you're a part of a governing body, like let's just say USA Polo Association, you'd have to pay fees for that. Athletic trainers and fees like that. So if you have any games or if you're at a facility that requires some of these things, we'll pay for those too. Equipment and uniforms, this is the most, like the biggest one to take away from this, is if you're buying equipment or uniforms, they cannot be customized to the individual. You know, a lot of people put on the back Blue Raiders or MTSU on that nameplate section, but if it says a personalized name, we are not able to reimburse that because it's not a club purchase, it's an individual purchase at that point. So if you get them personalized, make sure it's like a general name. Even nicknames, don't do that because people aren't going to want the same nickname year to year. Just be safe, and if you really need a nameplate or something on the back, just make it all the same and make it very general related to your club sport. Numbers obviously are allowed. You can have different numbers for everybody. That's not personalization. That's just part of the sport. But just know whatever you're buying. So like another example here with equipment. Let's say our hockey club says they need new sticks or they need, let's go with, let me think here. Oh, let's say helmets. All right. Let's say somebody needs to buy a fitted helmet that's only going to fit them with their personalized face mask and all that stuff. That's a personal purchase. We're not going to reimburse that. I think that's making sense to you all. If you have any questions, let us know ahead of time, and we'll help you out with that. Always good idea to ask ahead of time so you don't purchase like this large amount of jerseys and then you get told, sorry, that's got to come out of your own pockets. We can't reimburse that. Travel, transportation, gas, and hotels, lodging, we will pay for that if you're traveling for your club within reason. So like if you have a game in Vanderbilt or Nashville, same spot there. Even if it's just a short drive, like maybe Western Kentucky, like if you're going to compete in any of those spots, we're probably going to say just do a rental car, go there and come back. But within reason, we'll pay for lodging. So like I know some people are going to Mississippi or Ole Miss to compete. I think it's club soccer. We're going to pay for their hotels when they're down there because that's a long drive. They're going to want to stay overnight, especially when their hockey game's over at like 11 or midnight. Speaking of midnight, I think we touch on driving later, but if we don't, you can't drive after midnight. It's definitely in here later, but I just wanted to touch on that now. All right, non-reimbursable expenses. Facility space usage. What this means is like if we don't offer a facility, we will pay for it. So again, the Water Ski Club, we don't have a lake here on campus, so they're going to need to practice somewhere else. They have a facility that they use. And so we'll pay the fees that it costs for that team to use that facility. Same thing with ice hockey. We don't have an ice rink on campus, so we pay for them to practice at the Ford Ice Center. But soccer, lacrosse, rugby, we have a sport club complex here with all those fields. So if they were to choose to practice somewhere else, we wouldn't pay for that. Only if they're using the facilities that we offer, or only if we don't offer a facility is when we'll pay. So that's a big thing there. If your sport is a unique one that you're not sure, ask us and we can figure something out. But like more often than not, most sports can be practiced indoors. And if that's the option, then we will ask you to use the rec center. All right, food and drink. So same reason we can't reimburse jerseys, we can't reimburse food and drink because it's not going to stay with you. So if you're buying pizza or whatever for practice, that's got to come out of your own pocket. Personalized items, already touched on that. Individual player dues and coaching fees. This is a great way for you all to get money in your bank accounts, is asking players to pay due. This is very common. You can pick the amount of it. Even if you just make it $5 per player, that's going to rack up if you get 20 to 30 players, do the math there. For more expensive sports, again, like hockey, they have a higher individual membership fee because they have to pay for more. So make it adjusted to your sport, or you can make it free, totally up to you. But just know that we won't reimburse those. Like we won't pay for the players to be a part of the team. Same thing with coaches. Coaches are totally optional. They're not required. If you have a coach, they should not be running your organization. They should just be helping to coach. Pretty self-explanatory there. But if they're charging you, if they say, hey, I want paid, $100 a month to help you guys coach, that's got to come out of your own pockets. That's got to come out of the club, and we will not reimburse that. Same thing with parking and speeding tickets. Pretty obvious one there, but if you get one, let us know, but we're not paying for it. Okay, fundraising. New requirement for this year is you need to fundraise 10% of next year's budget. You kind of have to guess based on the current budget. Let's say we're going to spend the same amount next year or a little less. Just know you need to raise 10% of those funds. That's because club sports is something that like shells out a lot of money, and we need you to prove that like if you're asking for a ton of money that you're going to do a little bit of the work, and you're not just here asking for money and just using us for that. Some things for fundraising, we definitely recommend going to some local restaurants and saying, hey, do you guys do a fundraiser night? Maybe they will say, okay, yeah, we'll do this. And so from 5 to 7 p.m. at our restaurant, every customer that's in the door that mentions so-and-so club name, 10% or 15% of their purchase will go directly to you guys. Yeah, be creative with these fundraising opportunities. Maybe you'll buy some shirts on like Custom Ink and sell them for twice the cost, whatever you want to do. Just make sure it's legal. I'll leave it at that. But yeah, come up with some ways to raise some money. Okay, waivers. So this is how you get people to be on your roster for club sports. It's not like a paper waiver. It's not an old school, like here's your roster for the semester. It is a virtual rec portal waiver. Rec portal is the website. So let's go over here to that. It is literally recportal.mtsu.edu. I'm going to click this to refresh the page. All right, so when you get here, you need to log in. Make sure you click MTSU ID. I'm already logged in, so it's just going to do that real quick. But yeah, make sure you log in with your MTSU ID. Once you're here on this website, you can scroll down here, and this is the website we use to register for all of our campus recreation events. So like, this is how you buy intramural sports passes, fitness passes, sign up for an outdoor pursuits trip, do a fitness class, anything like that, it's all here. The sports club tab, probably not going to be as useful to you anymore. We actually put everything in our intramural sports tab. That's just the way things are set up. If you do play intramural sports, this is how we do everything. So if you have a game, you check it there. But as of now, we're not going to get too far into this. What needs to happen is I will create your team on this website, and I'll invite you to it. And so once you do that, you'll get this email. Let me show you here. This is the email you're going to get. It is right here, pretty self-explanatory. You click this link, and this link takes you to this page, the My Teams page. So when you're here, this is the teams that I'm on, but you need to go here to My Invites. I invited myself to the esports club, so I'm going to accept this invite. Okay. And then you sign this waiver. This is the big thing right here. This is why everybody has to do it, because this is your waiver saying, I know sports are dangerous and I assume the risk of it. Accept, put in an emergency contact here. And then, yeah, this is the roster. So once you're on the roster, I will make you a captain. And then once you're the captain, you'll be able to invite people. The way you do that is you go, actually, let me show you how to get to this page. So again, let's say we're here, you type in MTSU Rec Portal. You can also use this to navigate. It's the same as below. Intramural Sports, My Teams. And now that I accepted that, esports is right here. So this is where like it'll say official whatever club sport roster. Click here. And then again, we're back at this page. To invite people, you go to pending roster, invite player, and you just start typing in MTSU emails. Once you type one in, you click add, and you can just keep typing MTSU emails here, and then they'll all come up here in green bubbles, and you hit send invitations, and then they'll get that same email that I just got. Make sure you do this, because everybody participates in any practice, any tryout, or any event or game has to be on this website. It is a legal liability for you and your club that you are responsible for. Make sure you get them added to this. Okay. Let's go back to here now. So that's the rec portal. That's how you do that. Once you're on there, you're good to go though. So make sure if you get new members, you invite them to the team through that. Or if you cut people, let me know and I will remove them from your team. Okay, so let's talk about practice expectations. If you're not practicing at one of our facilities, sorry, there's a little bit that's not relevant to you, but a lot of it still is relevant to you. Once your club is fully done and registered, ready to go, ready to start practicing, What you'll do is you'll send us your practice schedule and say, hey, these are the days and times we want to practice, and then we'll let you know if that's approved or not. If you are practicing at our sport club complex, you do need to be done by 9 p.m. so that way we can turn off the lights. That's because it's in a residential area, and that part of that agreement of building that facility was that the lights will always be off by 9 p.m. So we won't allow practices to go any later than 8:30 p.m. for that reason. So if you have a practice out there, schedule it for like 6 to 8 or 6 to 8:30, something like that. And then we'll handle the rest for unlocking the facility for you. If you've ever been out there, there is also it's called the shed or whatever, the hallway, whatever you want to call it, but each club has a locker in there if they would like to use it for storage, and you can put your own personalized locks on it. That way you can access your stuff, but your officers will be able to get into that facility by a card swipe. So that's something new this year. So just take your MTSU ID, swipe it at the door, and you can go in there and get your stuff out of your gate. If you send us a practice schedule, make sure you abide by it and you're not practicing later, before it, or on different days. And then also, if you are using our facilities, make sure you respect our staff and that you're coming in on time and leaving on time. Yep, let's go from there. If you need to cancel your practice because you're outdoors because of rain, storms, or anything like that, this is the responsibility of your safety officers. So that's why we have them do a specific training, is because they need to know what our policies are for like thunder and lightning and tornadoes and everything like that. If we are ahead of the game and we are saying like, oh, our intramural sports are canceled tonight because of a ton of rain, probably going to also cancel club sports, we'll let you know. So we'll email your club and say, hey, your practices are canceled for the night. Our staff will not be there to unlock the gates for you or whatnot. If you're an indoor sport, you have some different policies because, indoor doesn't get affected by weather as much. And if you're off campus, same thing there. Just know that anybody from the club sports staff to safety officers are responsible for canceling practice. And as safety officers, even though you're part of the team, it is your responsibility to cancel when things get dangerous. So if you see lightning, that's not your time to say, oh, I didn't see that lightning, let's just keep practicing. No, you are required to, follow our policy and do what you need to do. All right, if it is bad weather outside and you want to practice inside and we have a facility space for you, just let us know and we'll try to get a spot for you. Okay, hosting home games. So if you're using any of our fields, or our facilities on campus, we will staff your event. We'll help you set up. We will turn on the lights, all that good stuff. And then we'll help you pay for the referees and trainers and anything required like that. But yeah, if you have a sport that uses our fields, we will help you out there. Our staff will be out there and help the visiting team sign waivers in order to get these, because some people like to send them to the other club ahead of time so they can get it filled out and then sent back. That is also on this website, again, the club sports website. You just scroll down here and it's in waivers, visiting teams, right there. So just download that, send it to the other club's president. That's a great way to be ahead of the game. That way they can just show up, hand it to our staff, and we go, okay, you're good to go. But yeah, you can read everything else on the screen there for that. Oh, also, if you are adding a game, we need to know 1 week in advance, at least, if we are staffing it. Okay, if you're traveling, a lot of you will, and the good thing is this will probably apply to everybody if you're traveling. Because even if you're not using our facilities, if you want to go travel somewhere else to play a game or do an event, you're going to need to get there somehow. And so you can rent a car from, I don't know the exact place, but there is a rental car company that will allow people under 25 as long as they're MTSU students. Oh, there it is, Avis. I should have just looked on the screen. Avis will let you, if you're an MTSU student and under 25 years old, to drive a car. You still have to be 21, and then that's your discount code there. So let us know if you're traveling, and we'll get you more information about that. We do need travel rosters and itineraries that are required 3 days before at the latest, 3 days before you are leaving. There's no exception on this, so if you send it to us 2 days before you leave, you're not going on that trip anymore. Make sure you get those to us as soon as you can. I think these are online now, so when you're ready to travel, just get in touch with Dan or me and we'll send you more information about that. Make sure there's receipts. If you get gas, we will reimburse it, but keep your paper receipts, put them in a folder or whatever, and then give them to us when you get back. No alcohol, no drugs, pretty obvious one there. Remember, you are representing the university. Travel policies. You can't use 15 passenger vans, but use something smaller, whatever your club can fit in. If there's an accident, let us know. You're not going to be in trouble. Just let us know so we know that something happened. That way the safety officers can fill out a form, let us know what happened. Big thing here, I told you it'd come back up. You can't travel between midnight and 5 a.m. That's just, campus policy. So make sure if you're leaving or going on a trip that you plan accordingly. If you are planning on coming back, you do it before this or outside of this time frame, or else stay in a hotel. Other thing is that drivers can only drive 4 hours in a 12-hour period. This is important, okay? So if your drive is 4.5 hours away, sorry about your luck, you're going to need to have 2 people drive. So stop it at some point, switch out drivers. Please do this. It's just a good rule of thumb. It's a way to be safe, but just follow that policy. Okay, marketing. A lot of you are just starting out. You're needing new members to join your team. So let us know what we can do to help you out. We do have a social media website. We do have an Instagram account that we use to publicize our sport clubs, our intramural sports, and a bunch of other things. The only downside is it's a shared Instagram account. So a lot of other organizations in MTSU use it as well. But we'll do our part to share it and let people know. If you need something, again, send it to us. We'll make a flyer out of it, and we'll go from there. That Instagram page is at MTSU Campus Life. So give us that follow on Instagram and check out all of our content there. Or you can hand out your own flyers. We can post them in the rec center. Just let us know, again, what we can do to help you market. All right, now we're going to talk about the different officer positions and some members of your club sport, what roles they're going to play, and talk about some of their duties. So your faculty and staff advisor, like I said, they have certain roles and responsibilities. They are definitely required. Make sure you pick somebody that is going to be at least somewhat dedicated to your club, just as much as your officers and students are going to be. They serve as a liaison between the club and the university. This is more because, they're involved in the university decisions and stuff, so they'll know some of the policies about what students are allowed to do and all that stuff. They are responsible to be knowledgeable of guidelines. That way that they can help guide their student leaders, or make sure that the students are following the rules and keeping up to date on their information. The big thing here is that they don't have to be involved in the decision-making process in your club, but they need to step in if they feel like the club is going in the wrong direction, or if the club needs help, maybe kicking a member off the team, they can help out with that, stuff like that. They're just kind of there to be an extra resource, so to speak. They do have to sign off on the reimbursement process. Like I said, that was one of the new things added this year. And yeah. Okay, president. So this is the person that's running your club, probably the person watching this video. And so your job is pretty obvious. You're in charge of the club. You're in charge of everything that goes on. So just know that, if your club's doing something not so great, that's going to be your name attached to it. On the flip side, if your club is amazing, your name's attached to it too. You need to be there for everything that goes on in your club. Make sure you're in constant communication with Dan and myself. If you're not going to be able to, have the vice president be in touch with us. Maybe you're out of town for a week or something. Just make sure somebody's getting the news. you're basically responsible for everything for your club. Like I said, you're going to have to meet the deadlines. If we're having issues with your club or you're not getting things done, you're the one we're going to be calling, emailing, saying, hey, you need to pick it up. You're behind on some of these things. Like we said, you're the one we're in communication with most, so you're supposed to be the most responsible. Vice president, their job is to help them out. All right, so good idea is for the president and vice president to sit down at the beginning of the year and say, I want to work more towards the budget and the traveling and figuring out where we're going to play and everything. Maybe this year you work on what we're going to do in practices and work on team building and stuff like that. So good idea, divide up the responsibilities between the two of you. That way not one person is taking on the full load, or you go into it and say, everything we do, we're going to do as a team, you and me. That way it splits up the responsibility a little bit there too. A lot of times clubs will use the vice president position for a rising senior or rising upperclassman to become the club president. So, do what you want. We don't require that, but it's a good idea. Treasurer. This is a required position as of this year. The reason is because we need somebody whose main purpose is to make sure that your budgets and your finances are good. It's a lot of different little things that can go wrong on these, so that's why it's good to have one position for this, is somebody whose main job is to look over the bank account, make the purchases, whatever it may be. That way the president and vice president can focus on the more administrative and organizational side of things. The treasurer is in charge of giving us receipts. So again, a good thing for them to do is just be responsible for, hey, we're going on this trip. Make sure you're in the passenger seat at all times. So when we get gas, you can go in and get that receipt, or, basic stuff like that. Safety officers, like I said before, these are also required. You need at least 2 per club, and they have to be at every practice or event. I know I'm saying that a lot. It's because it's required. They have to be first aid CPR certified and then also pass our safety officer training. Again, that video is on the same YouTube page. The reason they have to do this separate training is because they have to be trained in our intramural and club sports policies. That way they know how to cancel a game or know when to pause practice because of lightning, or know who to contact in the case of an injury, stuff like that. It's important. I know it might not seem like it, but make sure you have 2 safety officers. And these are some optional positions, so if you want, you can also have a recruitment chair, whatever. These are all up to you. They're good positions to have. Definitely recommend them, but we don't have to necessarily know about them, and we don't have to, there's nothing specific that they have to do from us. So again, good ideas to have, but not required from us. Coach. Coaches also are not required, and they're not supposed to be running your club. I'll keep it at that. Your coach, if you choose to have one, is only there to, run the practice maybe, or help out with like the skills side of your sport. A lot of sports don't require a coach. That's perfect. Probably better that way. Saves you some money because, once again, you guys have to pay for a coach out of your own pocket. We do not reimburse. Just make sure, I'll say it again, your coach does not run your club. They're not going to get any information from us. They're not supposed to be going into the club sports complex and getting your stuff out of there. That's for the students. If you have a coach, though, you have to let us know because they have to pass a background check. And yeah. Okay, so we're going to talk about hazing here real quick, because that's just one thing that is absolutely unacceptable in our organization. So when we say hazing, obviously you're not here, so you don't have to shout anything out, but it's basically anything you do to make somebody embarrassed, feel uncomfortable, or to put shame on that person, regardless of like if they're willing to do it. It's definitely not one of these things that you say, okay, every new member has to come in and get all the soccer balls, and then we're going to kick them over the fence and go get them again. I'm not calling out soccer. That's just the first example I thought of. Nobody does this, and that's the good thing. Just make sure you're not. If we hear about it, you're going to be in some serious trouble with us. Yeah, no room for it in our organization. Make your organization as welcoming as you can. Just get out of the habit of these, rookies have to do all this stuff or whatever it may be. That's not what you're here for. That's not what our club policies represent. So just know if we see it or hear about it, um, yeah, don't do it. And then I'm going to leave this up on the screen here for a bit. You can read through these. Just, don't be stupid. Remember, when you're doing these things, ask yourself if you'd be comfortable doing it, or if you'd be happy if, you found out that Dan or me found out that you told this person to do this thing. If you see it's happening, get rid of it. Let somebody know. Talk to us if you need it, or your faculty advisor. Sort of related to hazing, but also anything else, is just follow our policies. Make sure you're getting your paperwork and following the steps to become a club, doing them all on time. If not, these are some of the negative repercussions that will come onto your club. You got to follow our rules to stay a part of this, and it's an equal responsibility. We will give you the information and resources you need. It's just up to you guys to utilize them. Okay. Obviously, want to talk about COVID here real quick. I know restrictions have been lifted slightly, but on campus there is a mask mandate as of the date of this recording. That means if you are practicing or using any indoor MTSU facility, you need to be wearing a mask. Okay? That means if you're in our rec center, if you're in our club sports shed, there's a big sign on the outside of it that says must wear a mask inside. That is an MTSU facility. If you're inside of it, you need to put a mask on. All right, if you're outside, there is no restriction currently for wearing a mask. If you're off campus, there is also no restriction. We ask that you do wear a mask off campus, but it's technically not required. And then these are some of our general things we figured out about needing to quarantine and all that. Just use your best practice, use your best judgment, follow the rules. We've been dealing with it for over a year now, so don't act like you don't know. Some few more reminders. If you need to reserve facilities, just let us know. That's indoor facilities or outdoor facilities. If you're coming into the rec center, just use the turnstiles. If you have a new club, you'll have once your club is operating, there's a mailbox for you outside of Dan's office, so check that out. CPR class, ignore that. Okay, so to wrap it all up here, you can ignore the fact that the practice can be September 1st because we're definitely past that deadline. But let's just recap some of the things you need to do, and then you'll be good to go. Stay till the end of this video because I'm going to say something at the end that you need to know to do. Just recapping, make sure you register as a student org. Get all that information you need ahead of time in order to do that, because like I said, there's a lot of steps. Make sure you have at least 2 officers attend this training, and then have 2 officers attend the safety officer training. The safety officer training has a quiz at the end of it. Get in touch with Dan or myself to get a hold of that, and keep in mind that any 2 people in your club can be safety officers, and you can double dip safety officer and president, vice president, anything like that. Both safety officers also have to send us proof of a CPR first aid certification. That's got to be from accredited source for First Red Cross, stuff like that. Send those to us, and then get started on your budget. Again, we're past that deadline, so once you tell us that you've completed this training, go ahead and get started on your budget, and we'll come up with some deadline and send that to you. Just get in touch with us over email. Make sure you get your rosters on Rec Portal, so get in touch with me again, so that way we can get you started on adding people to the Rec Portal to get their waivers signed. And then send us a practice request and game schedule, so let us know what you're going to be doing. Even if it's off campus, let us know some of your practice times, so that way we know how frequently you're operating, and we can just stay in the loop on things. So this is what I need from you. again, saying this here at the end, so make sure you get this. I want you to email me at that Club Sports Gmail account. Go back to the beginning if you need to find it. I want you to send me 3 things that you learned from this presentation. The name of your club sport so that I can add it to the rec portal. And just tell me who is going to be your president and vice president. So there's 5 things there. 3 things that you learned from this presentation. Tell me your club's name so I can create it on rec portal. And then your president and vice president's name. All right? Once you do that, I'll know that you watched this, and I'll know that you watched it all the way through, and we'll go from there. Sorry this took so long. Hope you had a good time listening to it, and let us know if you have any questions, and good luck out there.